This is From Destruction to Dignity with Janice Pons. Each week, Janice shares her wisdom to enlighten, educate, and advance the culture in America today. Janice Pons is a mother, author, and free thinker, and your host for our podcast this evening. Now let's join your host, Janice Pons.
Greetings, greetings, greetings. Come on in. Welcome, welcome, welcome. My name is Janice Pons. I'm the host on our podcast. This is our podcast. Yes, it is. From Destruction to Dignity, Clinical Perspective, Spiritual Truths. Listen, we're going to keep on this journey. You know, we're just diving in and dissecting all kinds of things. Thank you so much for your feedback that you're giving me. I'm getting just so feedback, emails, so forth and so on. Shout out to Singapore, Finland, Australia, Africa, Egypt, the Constitutional Republic of the United States of America. Thank you for those of you who are subscribing through Patreon. Like I said, somebody started subscribing through Facebook. I didn't even ask. I was like, oh. And then people started saying, hey, you have exclusive content. Yes. And so those that subscribe, we will be availing that to you. And you're supporting what I'm called to do to take it to another level and be on the lookout through Patreon, Janice Pons on Patreon for subscriptions for exclusive content, and that's going to be unfolding. Thank you for being patient with me and working with me as that unfolds. I'm so encouraged because I was asked to do that. So I'm going to do it, okay? Thank you. I just that vote of confidence and you know, I was thinking, well, am I going to keep doing this podcast? I'm not sure. And then Buzzsprout, who gets the podcast out on all these different Apple podcasts and all these different venues, they let me know that this year the podcast had grown 1,320%. Whoa, I guess I need to keep going. Thank you for your support and your love and your prayers. So we're going to keep going forward. Yes, I'm encouraged. I really am. We're going to keep plowing into these issues and topics as we discover our nation. Clinical perspective, spiritual truths. From destruction to dignity. Clinical perspective, spiritual truths. So our flag behind us is a great symbol representing our nation and the 50 states thereof. This seal is to remind us of the importance of praying for our president and his cabinet and their families. Every day I pray over them. I pray over you, my Facebook family and friends, my social media family and friends, my podcast listeners. You've been prayed over, and I am so appreciative of you praying for me as well. So we're going to continue this journey that we're on, praying for the 265,900,000 working Americans who were living paycheck to paycheck last year. We're over halfway through the year, and things are turning around. And we're going to talk about more specifics of that, as evidenced by what. How is it improving? We'll be diving into that as we move forward. We're going in a different direction in our country. 79% of Americans, period, said last year we were going in the wrong direction and we need to do something different. So we are doing something different, new leadership, a new flow, a different perspective, and we're going somewhere, and it's expecting us when we get there. So tonight we're going to examine something that's generating a lot of discussion in our nation, and that has to do with a massive victory. Now, all this ties in with our clinical perspective, which is taking a stand. And we got a lot to cover tonight, so it may get a little extended, but we're going to go there. Let's dive in. Let's explore this together, because remember, I'm always saying we're going somewhere, and it's expecting us when we get there. Come and go with me. We've had a massive victory in our nation. Now, this massive victory is connected with the rights of parents when the Supreme Court of the United States sided with parents. Justice Alito, he nuked them. I mean, what I'm saying, he just went all the way in of laying some things out related to the LGBTQ indoctrination campaign. Now, I'm going to show you how slick they were. When I saw this, see, this is why I don't look at the news. I listen to direct interviews. I listen to President Trump, what he said. I listen to the news conferences. I want to hear Congress for myself. I don't want to hear what the news told me they said. And then when I saw what actually happened and read certain things, oh boy, now just stick with me. We're going to frame some things here. Maryland parents fought for years to opt their kids, and we had already talked about this before, but I want us to dissect some specific dynamics, because you got to know how entities work and how they try to maneuver and manipulate and control. It's so important to know, because we got to know how to fight the good fight of faith. Yeah. And it looks like something. So let's look at this. Maryland parents fought for years to opt their children out of LGBTQ propaganda sessions. The High Court gave them a big win. And we're going to dissect exactly what occurred, understanding context is crucially important, because when the news, the mainstream media leaves out context, so they're deceptive liars. Montgomery County Public Schools, Maryland's largest school district, approved over 20 works of LGBTQ propaganda for inclusion as instructional materials in its curriculum in the late part of 2022. Now, the woke district was initially willing to let parents opt their children out of lessons, incorporating the non-straight political propaganda, and to provide notice when radical works celebrating, this is what all this content was about, sex changes for kindergartners, pride parade kindergartners, this is all in elementary school, and reality defying pronouns such as pride puppy, born ready, the true story of a boy named Penelope, and my rainbow. This is what was being read. Now, the district determined that the opt-outs required by state law for sex education units of health classes did not apply, as the LGBTQ propaganda was introduced as part of, listen at this, it was introduced as part of the English curriculum. Let that marinate. That's so crucial. They deceptively were slipping that in under the English curriculum. This is why context is so important, my fellow Americans. It's manipulative, deception, and it's control. These books imposed upon children a set of values and beliefs that were hostile to their parents' religious beliefs. Parents were simply not willing to surrender their children to what has been coined as cultural imperialist, and confident that the district's policy violated. They were confident. It said it violated their First Amendment right to freely exercise their religious beliefs. Christian and Muslim, do you hear me? Christian and Muslim parents, represented by the Becket Fund for Religious Liberty, took the Montgomery County school system to court. They were not seeking to ban the books, but to reclaim the right to control their children's exposure to them. The outcome, this is what happened. The Supreme Court ruled 6-3 that the parents were entitled to a preliminary injunction that would permit them to have their child excused from instruction related to the LGBT propaganda while the lawsuits proceeds. The High Court reversed a lesser court's judgment and noted that the parents, now we're dissecting the details of this because it's real important. They noted that the parents are likely to succeed on their claim that the board's policies unconstitutionally burden their religious exercise. We hold, this is what they said, we hold that the board's introduction of the LGBTQ inclusive storybooks combined with its decision to withhold notice to parents of kindergartners and to forbid opt-outs. They forbade it, so we forbid it. Substantially interferes with the religious development of their children and imposes the kind of burden on religious exercise that Yoder found unacceptable. Justice Samuel Alito, that was his opinion for the High Court. Alito, he emphasized in the majority opinion that storybooks targeting young children are unmistakably normative and clearly designed to present certain values and beliefs as things to be celebrated and certain contrary values and beliefs as things to be rejected. The conservative justice highlighted, for example, that one of the works of LGBTQ propaganda pushed in the district does not simply refer to same-sex marriage as an existing practice. Instead, it presents acceptance of same-sex marriage as a perspective that's got to be celebrated. See the difference? You say, okay, well, that occurs. But no, we got to celebrate it. Alito went on to say that these books carry with them a very real threat to undermining the religious beliefs that the parents wish to instill in their children, like the compulsory high school education considered in Yoder. Those books imposed upon children a set of values and beliefs that are hostile to their parents' religious beliefs. Alito suggested further that the three dissenting liberal justices' blinkered view that the LGBTQ propaganda was merely aimed at imposing or imposing upon and exposing students to the message that non-straight people exist and teaching them kindness ignores the messages that the authors plainly intended to convey, as well as the school board stated reasons for inserting the books into the curriculum. Again, do you hear the deception and the manipulation? The goal, they said the goal was to teach them kindness. You see, that wasn't their goal. That was not their goal. Let's keep going. Eric Baxter, the vice president and senior counsel at Beckett, who has won every Supreme Court case they've had, that they've argued. Eric Baxter, vice president of Beckett and senior counsel there. He argued and won in defense of the parents. This is what he said. I love it. He said, this is a historic victory for parental rights in Maryland and across America. Kids shouldn't be forced into conversations, kindergartners now, forced into conversations that they're going to get a grade on about drag queens, pride parades, or gender transitions without their parents' permission. Today, this is what he said. He said, today, the court restored common sense and made clear that parents, not government, have the final say in how their children are raised. You don't just send them to school. They were getting indoctrinated, guys, bottom line. Tiffany Justice, co-founder of Moms for Liberty, she was among the many parental rights activists who celebrated the ruling. This is what she said. We owe immense gratitude to the courageous parents like Tamir Mahmoud and Rosalind Hanson, who bravely stepped forward as plaintiffs in this landmark case. That's what Tiffany Justice said. This decision protects family values and religious freedom from ideological overreach, sending a clear warning to every public school in America: respect the sacred fundamental rights of parents or face consequences. Anticipating that the court was going to side with parents, Corey DeAngelis, a senior fellow at the American Culture Project and a visiting fellow at the American Institute for Economic Research, stated, this is what Corey had to say: a ruling in favor of families would be a landmark victory for parental rights in education, one that would reaffirm the Supreme Court precedent and the fundamental rights of parents to direct the upbringing of their children. The Supreme Court made abundantly clear a century ago, 100 years ago, in Pierce versus Society of Sisters of the Holy Names of Jesus and Mary, that was a court case, that, this is what they ruled in, that the child is not the mere creature of the state. Those who nurture him and direct his destiny have the right, coupled with the high duty, to recognize and prepare him for additional obligations. It's all about indoctrination, guys. That's what it was about. It wasn't about teaching them to be kind. It's just about kindness. No, it was about indoctrination. They were teaching young children what to do with their hands related to their body. And by the time they got in middle school, they were teaching them what to do with their fist as it relates to their bodies and other people's bodies. Oh, Father. Polls provide insight into opinions and mindsets in our nation. According to a poll of 1,000 American adults conducted in the fall of 2024 by a research company called Heart Plus Mind Strategies, 69% of Americans agree that parents are the primary educators of their children, and 77% agree that parents should be able to opt out their children from curriculum on gender and sexuality if they believe that it is not age appropriate or if it conflicts with their religious beliefs, guys. This massive victory, we're talking about a massive victory. This massive victory puts wind in the sails of the movement to do what? Secure parental rights in education. This win emboldens parents to raise the alarm when school districts trample on their rights and try to lay claim to their children's upbringing in the future. A win puts school districts on notice and sends a nationwide signal that kids do not belong to the government. Alvin Lui, I think this is Alvin Lui, president of the parental rights advocacy group Courage is a Habit, stated this: schools have, over the last 20 years, especially in the last 10, been very aggressive in cutting parents out and not allowing them to opt out. What political party has been in charge of this nation 12 of the last 16 years? Parents have had enough, he said. The parental rights advocate stressed that the content at issue has nothing to do with academics. Obviously, it has nothing to do with reading proficiency. It has nothing to do with what schools are supposed to be or what parents think schools are supposed to be. It was all about indoctrination. The High Court's ruling is a major upset for non-straight activists and their fellow travelers, including PEN America, which claimed in an amicus belief that if the petitioners prevail, LGBTQ propagandists might suffer losses in sales, and Montgomery County teachers might ultimately steer clear, imagine that, of any lessons that include LGBTQ individuals and content, rather than violating a court order. So what will we do instead? How about if that teaching time focuses on the 3 R's? My God. Right here in Oklahoma, we're way behind in reading in our public schools. That blows me away. They got away from teaching phonics. That's a whole nother podcast. I'll go there later. Luai noted that this case serves as a reminder of how important it is for parents to stick on offense and to be the one that asks questions. Ask who, what, when, where, how, why. Oh yeah, be that one that shows up and asks questions. And to make good use of tools like opt-outs to keep ideologues in the education system on the back foot. Hold them accountable, ask questions. There's another form of opt-out that parents should consider seeking. Families should be able to opt out their children out of content that conflicts with their values, regardless of whether the reason has anything to do with religion. And we shouldn't stop there, said DeAngelis. Families shouldn't only be able to opt out of specific content. They have the power to opt out of any government school that is in fundamental misalignment with their values. And when they opt out, parents should be able to take their children's education tax dollars to the school that best meets their needs. Some heavy stuff here, but parents are standing up. They're tired. I submit that the agenda in the school system lines up with what Barack Hussein Obama had been pushing for years. That whole thrust that was going on in the school system, it was what he was pushing for years. Oh yeah. And it lines up with them needing to let the world know last year. Why did we need to know that he was having gay sex fantasy and he confessed it? Why was that important? It was all over the news. It was worldwide. Why did we need to know sexual fantasy of someone who was the president of this nation? Why was that being discussed? Don't get me wrong, I love my fellow Americans who are gay, transgender, love them, know them. My concern is over issues that violate our constitutional rights and unnecessarily ramrodding agendas into the minds of children. I'm about the children. It all makes perfect sense now when you connect all the dots with Obama's safe school czar, Kevin Jennings. All of this ties in together, guys. With his safe school czar, Kevin Jennings, to him not upholding a law, Obama, not as a president, the executive branch, not upholding the legislative branch, making a law that Congress put in place, DOMA. He didn't uphold it. I remember the day that he instructed Attorney General Eric Holder to no longer uphold it. It was totally unconstitutional for him to do that. It all makes sense now. What else did he do? He refused to light up the White House in blue. Definitely lighting it up in the rainbow colors as fuel. And this is when the law enforcement officers were being ambushed under his administration, and he was talking in code, and not one time did he ever speak out against what was occurring. I remember one speech he made, it was wow. It was demonic. It was demonic. I'm going to go find it and post it and talk about it. It all ties in with him, the spearheading of the indoctrination process of students in public schools regarding all things sexual that we pay for with our taxpayer dollars. Kevin Jennings wrote in the book Queering Elementary Education in 1999 that he wanted to start a saturation process in the minds of kindergartners related to homosexuality. 10 years later, Obama put him in a strategically key position over the schools and public school education. This is where this whole thing was battled out with the Supreme Court. His network, GLEN, go look them up, GLEN, is who was instrumental in putting curriculums in our public schools. The only way that it's not classified as P-O, the P word, is that it was animated. The acts, the motions, the images, the engagement, the explicit details were definitely present. And it was just in the form of animation. As someone I've served as a teacher, a school psychologist, a children's psychiatric counselor, a licensed clinician, and many other roles in behavioral health, I know the effect that these images have upon children and their minds. I can't tell you the number of children that get triggered by these types of images, and before you know it, they're over in some corner doing all kind of things. I've seen that stuff, had to intervene. Listen, I know what I'm talking about. The curriculum involves kindergartners being explicitly taught to do certain things with their bodies and told that there's no such thing as doing it too much in one day. By the time they get to middle school, they were taught to do certain things with their fists. All of this was going on while our test scores in schools were declining. I wonder why. So why would we be surprised with Obama needing to let us know in 2024? In his own words, he said this. He said, "I make love to men daily in the imagination." Why in the world did we need to know that? Grown people can do whatever they want to do. But why did we need to know his intimate thoughts such as that, my fellow Americans and my brothers and sisters? This man had been built up to be swooned over as he was utilized to make all things about being black. And that needed to be the focus of the nation. Prove me wrong, guys. He went so far as to say that boys needed gay men in their lives. In other words, their father, their uncles, their parents, they were not. He says, not enough. They need gay men in their lives. So, were those other men not enough to teach them to be caring and empathetic? What about the mama? What about the aunties? What is he promoting? We're thankful for the recent Supreme Court victory. It was a massive victory regarding parents in Montgomery County, Maryland, taking a stand related to what their elementary school students could be exposed to. We're thankful for the Muslims, the Catholics, and the Ukrainian Orthodox parents taking a stand regarding their kindergartners not being exposed to LGBTQ curriculum based on their religious beliefs. And as we've laid out tonight, they won. All we have to do is use basic logic, guys. Basic logic and deductive reasoning to come to a conclusion that there was a specific agenda that attempted to emasculate our boys, especially when that man of color leading the way. Can somebody be intellectually honest enough and admit that his focus has been on children? Prove me wrong. Listen, far too many people have been bamboozled by what God told me. It's called, this is what he said. He said, Janice, there's something called the Black collective pathology, which is connected to the idolatry of race. This is why nobody could say anything, hold him accountable. In that pathology and idolatry, you can't say anything about Obama. I was told that people say, he the last chance for black people. I'm like, what y'all talking about? So many people of color believe that lie, that we were supposed to all stick together no matter what. That's the idea, the ideology that's taught through a specific party. Prove me wrong. I'm going to always stand up for our posterity, our children. They're my heart. They deserve some type of basic protection. Who's remaining silent about this and why? What are the dynamics and the forces behind that? What's that all about? Who's upholding these forces? As the truth has emerged regarding Obama's direct involvement in this Russian hoax stuff and all this other stuff and these multiple nefarious events and details that are coming out subsequent to this decision, we can take it to the bank that negative influences played a role in him and manipulative agendas that turned out to be a Trojan horse in America. The very thing that he pushed has been shut down by the Supreme Court. All this ties in with our clinical perspective. Let's touch on that tonight for a few minutes. Taking a stand. What does it really mean when we say we're taking a stand? Why is it important? A world filled with diverse opinions, beliefs, and values, taking a stand on issues that matter is essential. It's essential, guys. Let's look at some things. What does it mean to take a stand? Taking a stand mean we're going to express and act on our beliefs. They acted on their religious beliefs, their values, their principles, especially in the face of opposition or indifference. It involves making a deliberate choice to support or oppose something based on convictions that could bring harm to children. This act of assertion can manifest in various forms, such as voicing your opinions in a discussion, advocating for a cause, ethical choices that affect children. Why is it important? Integrity and authenticity. Taking a stand reflects your true self and maintains integrity. It shows that you're genuine and consistent in your values, earning the respect and trust of others. It fosters empowerment and confidence, standing up for what you believe is right. That's what those parents did. It can boost your confidence where you take control of your actions and decisions rather than just being swayed. Well, you know what? We know those kids were being taken advantage of. It can influence, guys, outcomes. It builds resilience when you take a stand. Yes, especially in challenging situations. Listen, it influences yourself, your positive image, or self-image. Taking a stand enhances our self-esteem and our self-worth. And those little kids being exposed to all that stuff, guys. Listen. Taking a stand is going to be more vital than ever as we move forward in this nation. The devil is a liar. He's a father of lies, and the truth has never been in him. And he's trying to accost the minds of these children. Listen, if we don't take a stand, we're going to have regrets. It fosters a mindset on certain things. Grooming. Kids were being groomed. They were being indoctrinated. They even came out with a song in 2023 talking about we're coming for your children. What do you mean you're coming for your children? They said, oh, it was just a joke. No, that's exactly what happened. You were coming for the children. That's exactly what happened. Look, what have we looked at tonight? A massive victory. And we looked at the importance of taking a stand. Taking a stand is a powerful act. It defines character. It influences the world around you. It requires courage and conviction. The benefits of living authentically, building resilience. These things are important, guys. We're going somewhere and it's expecting us when we get there. We're going to keep pressing in. We're going somewhere. I am so committed to these children, guys. There's a diabolical agenda and mindset to take their minds accosted, but we have to stand up, and this is what these people did. It's a massive victory, and what we're going to do, we're going to continue to go together as one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. As we go together, yes, us together, from destruction to dignity, clinical perspective, spiritual truth. Listen, I want you to keep coming back. Thank you for your support. God bless you. God bless all of y'all in Singapore, Finland, Australia, Africa, Egypt, the Constitutional Republic of the United States of America. Thank you for checking out Janice Pons on Patreon. I'm developing that. I'm going to have specific exclusive content. You all asked for that. I'm going to do it. Thank you. I appreciate you guys. I love you. I will see you next week. God bless you. Good night.
Thanks for listening to this week's episode of From Destruction to Dignity with Janice Pons. Janice's mission is to provoke thought, bring awareness, and point people towards intervention when needed. As a reminder, this show is not therapy, but for educational purposes only. For more information, check out JanicePons.com or follow her on social media.
We are one power, strength is ours, liberty, been set free, education, affirmation, dedication, information.